Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. So glad you're here because today we're looking at something that honestly sounds a bit mundane at first. We're talking about ironing. Yep, just getting the wrinkles out of your clothes. But as you'll see, this everyday chore accidentally triggered a massive, viral, microeconomic debate across the internet. I mean, have you ever stopped to think about why the everyday services in your neighborhood cost exactly what they do? Well, an observation about local laundry rates recently blew up online, and it totally peels back the curtain on supply chains, regional economies, and how we actually value human effort. Let's get right into it.
Okay, 5 rupees versus 20 rupees. That is some serious sticker shock right there. Just imagine this. You're paying 5 rupees for a basic service, day in and day out. No big deal. Then you move to a new neighborhood and boom, overnight you're asked to pay up to 20 rupees for the exact same thing. That's a huge, sudden jump, and frankly, this exact reality check is what kicked off our entire story today.
So this was the exact situation for Sajith Pai. He's a venture capitalist who recently made the move from Noida down to the Indiranagar neighborhood in Bengaluru. Now, back in Noida, Pai was totally used to paying around 5 rupees to get a piece of clothing ironed. He admitted he knew this was a little on the lower side, right? So he fully expected a slight bump moving to a major tech hub. But the rates in Indiranagar? They were ranging from 12 to a staggering 20 rupees per piece. We are literally talking about a 300% price jump just to iron a shirt. Crazy, right?
But here's what's really interesting. This wasn't just some isolated reaction. In his viral post, Pai pointed out that he definitely wasn't the only one caught off guard by this. Even folks who had just moved from Mumbai, which, let's be real, is a city notoriously famous across the country for its sky-high cost of living, even they couldn't quite believe the ironing rates in Bengaluru. I mean, when folks from Mumbai are shocked by the cost of a daily service, you just know you've stumbled onto a genuine economic anomaly.
So naturally, Pai immediately starts forming theories. The very first hypothesis? It's all about input costs and technology. Up in the National Capital Region, or NCR, vendors usually use those traditional, super heavy iron boxes filled with burning charcoal. But down in Bangalore, vendors have largely shifted over to irons powered by LPG, liquid petroleum gas. So it's a completely different underlying tech being used to achieve the exact same wrinkle-free result. Pai basically reasoned, hey, maybe this shift in the fuel source is the main thing driving up those costs.
But then, the debate took this wildly fascinating turn. Honestly, I absolutely love this theory. Do tandoori restaurants lower the cost of ironing? Okay, I know, it sounds completely absurd at first, right? It's like a detective unveiling some bizarre, totally unrelated clue. But when you actually break down the microeconomics of local supply chains, it starts to make a surprising amount of sense.
Let me read you Pai's exact quote from his post. He wrote, "Does the fact that there are more tandoor restaurants in NCR play a role in lower charcoal costs in NCR versus BLR? I don't know, but I would love to hear theories." He's asking such a brilliant supply chain question here. Think about it. Is the massive local food culture in the north, specifically the sheer density of restaurants using tandoor ovens, creating this huge demand for bulk charcoal? And if so, does that drive the overall price down for everyone else, effectively subsidizing the local laundry vendors? It's just a fascinating look at how completely unrelated industries can secretly impact your daily chores.
So, the absolutely crucial concept we're dealing with here is what we call hyper-local service pricing. Now, obviously, broader national inflation is driving up the costs of food, fuel, and utilities all across India right now. And that's heavily influenced by massive global events like the conflicts involving the US, Iran, and Israel. But this ironing debate, it stands completely apart from all that. This is all about hyper-local factors. We're talking about the specific fuel used on one street corner or the density of restaurants in one specific city. These tiny local details are impacting service costs far more than the global economy ever could.
And naturally, the internet did exactly what it does best. It crowdsourced a ton of data. Users from all over the country jumped in acting like expert witnesses, and they ended up creating this fascinating master ledger of ironing rates. Looking beyond just the Noida and Bangalore extremes, we saw users in Surat reporting 10 rupees for a normal press, while folks in Thane were citing 7 rupees. The regional disparity for the exact same physical task is just incredible to see laid out like this.
And get this, the actual service levels differ wildly too. One user highlighted their specific situation over in Surat. For their 10 rupee rate, they aren't just getting an iron shirt, they're getting exclusively electric irons. Plus, and this is a real game changer, free pickup and drop off 3 times a week. So, in one city, you're paying 20 rupees just for the pressing, and in another, half the price gets you this premium concierge-level delivery service. Make it make sense.
The sheer disparity here led to absolute disbelief online. As one resident from Thane commented, some of the costs in this thread are mind-boggling. Didn't know any other city could be more expensive than the Mumbai metropolitan region. That really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It just perfectly reinforces how much of an outlier Bengaluru's pricing appeared to be to the rest of the country. It completely shattered the preconceived notions people had about which cities hold the crown for being the absolute most expensive.
But, as this debate raged on, the narrative actually shifted away from charcoal and LPG and moved towards something far more important, the human element. Defenders of the local vendors stepped in to highlight a pretty sobering reality. Ironing is a highly labor-intensive job. It's definitely not just a simple mathematical equation of input costs. We are talking about severe physical strain, standing in the blistering heat for hours on end, and facing significant professional hazards. So many users argued quite passionately that at 12 to 20 rupees, these vendors are absolutely not overcharging when you consider the immense toll this work takes on their bodies.
And honestly, this expands the lens significantly, because this economic phenomenon isn't really just about ironing at all. It reveals a much broader regional divide in how manual labor is valued and priced across the board. Whether it's car cleaning, hiring maids, or finding cooks, manual labor is generally priced much cheaper in the NCR region compared to southern metros like Bengaluru. This viral ironing debate, it simply became the most visible lightning rod for this much larger, everyday economic reality.
I think one social media user perfectly brought this whole micro to macro journey full circle. They wrote, "There is a similar difference with all chores where manual labor is involved. Iron, car cleaning, maids, cooks, all cheaper in NCR compared to other metro cities, particularly the South." It's such a poignant sociological conclusion, and the wild part is that it was derived entirely from people just comparing their laundry bills online.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's Explainer, and I really want to leave you with a provocative question to chew on the next time you drop off your laundry. Are your local vendors overcharging, or are they just surviving in a highly complex, hyperlocal economy? Whether it's the cost of LPG, the proximity to a local tandoor restaurant, or simply the true physical value of standing behind a hot iron all day long, the price of a wrinkle-free shirt carries a much deeper story than we probably ever realized. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on the Explainer today, and remember to always keep asking questions about the world around you. Catch you next time.